In this session, I want to tell you about different type of layers. You learned about these items in the previous sessions. Layers also have similarities with these tools. Either you can access it with the Layers menu, New, and you see the different types of layers here. You got familiar with the text tool before. It is the same text tool we have here. Click on it and the text layer creates for you to write whatever you want. The next option is Solid. It creates, for example, a rectangle that has fill color. For example, I want to make a solid with 520 and 520 dimensions. When you activate the lock aspect, everything you put in width is written in height. Specify the name here. I name it Solid 1. You can choose the unit kind as well. Mine is pixels, but it has millimeters and inches. You get familiar with the pixel aspect ratio item in the composition window session. It creates a square pixel for us. And with this part below, you can select the solid's color. I'll go on with the red color. The make comp size makes our solid size as the size of our composition. If our composition is with the size of 1920 and 1080, when I click on this, it converts them to the same dimensions. When you adjust these dimensions, it forms a solid for you in that size. I have a square here. It is the same as a shape tool. We can make a background. Double click here. It's with the shape tool, but you can use solid too. Adjust the color and creates the background you like. For solid, you can make one of them in the composition size. Choose the color and confirm it. Now you can animate it or move it wherever you like. So do the square and rectangle unit with the solid option. Light is our next subject. It's here to make some light for us. In 3D animations, when you need to illuminate something, use the light option. The camera is the next item. With this, we adjust the camera in After Effects. Just be familiar with this option for now. The next item is the null object. It is like a father-child relationship, but this one makes a layer for us. If you remember, we did something like this by dragging the layers to their parent. And when we moved that layer, the dependent layers moved as well. I do that shape again. Shift, Control D. I look at them like this. Now, when I make a null object, we can connect all of them to it. As you see, it's an empty object. Its anchor point is here. We can connect these layers to the null object and move them. When we have a crowded scene, like the kitchen we had, we are able to connect the shapes with the null object and move them easily. I select these three shapes and connect them with the parent and link to the null object. Now I make changes in the null object and you see the conversion. If I move it or make it big or small, these things that are attached to it also change. I can rotate it with the numpad positive and negative. It is the null object that changes and affects them. So it was the null object. Instead of animating them separately, connect them all to the null object and animate them together. I opened this project we had last sessions. We want to see the null object usage. I want to enlarge all of the components of the kitchen. I select all of these layers. If I enlarge them like this, you see the proportions are disturbed. The refrigerator is in the cabinet. The cabinets are too big for this scene. Their arrangement is completely messed up. In general, you can enlarge an image like this way. First, create a null object. Then select the first layer, hold Shift, and select the last layer. Connect one of these items to the null object. When I enlarge the null object, the ratio of all the layers is maintained. These changes are applied as a single image, like this. I zoomed it on this part right now. When I want to work with the camera, I connect all of these layers to the null object, till I can see an object in the scene. In the Layers menu, the next item is the Shape layer, which we learned in the previous session. I close this project to make a new one. For shape layers, we can add shapes in the contents part. For a circle, for instance, I'll give it a color and make it big and small. You learned it in the previous part, so I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. Adjustment layer. When you have a video or picture, or you did a motion and you want to give it an effect, instead of applying effects to individual layers, create an adjustment layer. Its name also indicates that it's a layer to adjust. I'll enter a picture to show you its effect. For example, this one. I add it to the composition section. Suppose it is my motion graphic and I want to give it a blur effect. I'll make an adjustment layer to use effects for this work. I like to change its color a bit. I'll go to the effect and presets and search the hue saturation. Here it is. I'll drag it into the adjustment layer, and the effect control adjustment layer window opens, with which you can play with the colors of your work. This change affects the other layers as well. Suppose we have many layers here, and we use some effects, but we don't want to affect the main layers. If you use this eye option, you'll see that the influence of the effect disappears. When you click on this section, you can temporarily enable or disable the effect. We have nothing to do with the settings of hue saturation option right now, but in general, we can apply the effects we want here. This section also contains the names of the effect we use. If you don't like it, click on it and delete it easily. You can use the blur effect. Choose the one you prefer. I'll go on with this. Drag and drop it in the scene. Its setting appears here. Here are the options. Adjust them as you wish. When I click on the eye option, I can see the difference. I remove these effects. I want to try the snow effect. From the Effects menu, in the Simulation section, I select the CC Snowfall option, and the Adjustment Layer window shows up. Apply the settings you want here. Specify the size and opacity. I zoom in on this blue part. This is the size. This one is the variation. Its speed and intensity. The wind. Now if I play this, a scene of a snowfall is created. Unfortunately, my After Effects was shut down because I had been working on the videos for a long time, so its memory cache became full. I suggest you empty your cache after some hours. It is the memory that the program uses to perform its rendering operation. You can empty the cache, it's not an strange thing. So select the All Memory and Disk Cache option from the Edit menu. It is 0 KB for me because I deleted before. Do this after a few hours as the memory may be too full. Well, you know how to create an adjustment layer. This way. In the Effects and Presets section, add any effect you like to your adjustment layer to apply to the other layers. I'll set these again. You see the snowfall. Because it is getting a render preview, it has slowed down a bit. Once you get the rendering preview, this problem will be fixed. I'll play it again. So you learn how to add an effect to the adjustment layer. This snow effect has greatly reduced its processing speed. When I click on the FX option, it will be disabled and you can easily preview it. You can also temporarily disable these effects when you still want to work on your project. Another way to add a new layers, right click here, new, and choose one of these type of layers. Either add them from the layer menu or use their shortcut. There's no other option left that I didn't tell you about. These two are for working with Photoshop files and layers. This is for importing files from Cinema 4D that we are not currently dealing with. I explained the important options to you. We will talk about the aligned window in the next session. Thank you.